Afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the August meeting of the Lackawanna County Prison Board. I'll note for the record, I was contacted by Sheriff McAndrew, who was away this week with his family, so to inform me that he wasn't going to be here. So we still have a quorum, so we're good to go. I trust everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from our last meeting on July 19th. And I will entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Is there anybody from the public who would wish to address the board on our agenda items only? Okay, I see no one, so we'll move on to the agenda items. First motion, motion to approve all the current payables for the Community Corrections Center and the prison. Again, I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review those, and I will entertain a motion to approve the current payables.
Motion. Second.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is approved. Thank you. Mr. DeBillio, can we have your controller's report, please?
Yes, Judge. Controller's report.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks. Controller's report for the prison inmate and canteen accounts for July 2023. The Controller's Office reviewed the prison inmate and canteen account reconciliations, which were prepared by the Prison Business Office for the month of July 2023 and found no discrepancies between the reconciliations and the bank statements. The balance in the inmate account was $460,688.66 as of July 31st of 2023. The balance in the canteen checking account was $336,581.85 as of July 31st. In addition, as of July 31st, the canteen account also included a balance in the Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust investment accounts of $875,552.08, which earns approximately $3,000 per month, and which will mature in January of 2024. At our last meeting, by the way, regarding the Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust accounts, at our last meeting, this prison board approved two new 180-day term investments of $774,901.31 at the rate of 5.74% annually, and also added a new $100,000 for a 180-day term at the rate of 5.79% annually, which will be for the benefit, education, and welfare of our county inmates. During the month of July 2023, $94,024.86 was paid from the canteen account for the benefit, welfare, and education of our county inmates, and the attached details, itemized details, are attached to this report for your review. And lastly, this board has recently agreed to an outside audit to be done of our canteen and inmate accounts, which I totally agree with. We'd like to put this audit out for a public request for proposal. As we've discussed with our attorney, Dave Soffinelli, and the judge and the whole board, we looked to the Pennsylvania County Controllers Association to see if any other county had a formal audit plan that we can use for our public request for proposal. Originally, no one responded to our request. However, my office has a call scheduled with Berks County in the Reading area today at 2:30 p.m. to review what their audit plan encompasses. And at our next meeting, my office can submit to this board an audit plan for approval to be advertised for the request for proposal that we'll put out at that time for the auditing of those two accounts. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. DeVillio? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report.
Motion.
I have a motion and a second. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The report is approved. Thank you, Mr. DeVillio. And next, we'll call on Mr. McConaughey for the Community Corrections Center report.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the house arrest report for the month of July. Adult house arrest had 179 participants. Juvenile had 27. Programs revenue, house arrest had $56,855.83. Juvenile had $6,150 for a total of $63,005.83. Year-to-date totals on both, $420,796.49. Programs expenses were $73,752.55. Programs completions were 37, violations were 8. We still have 4 outstanding warrants for house arrest. Budget report overtime at 63%, expenses at 57%, and revenue at 62%. That's my report.
What's our bracelet situation like? Are we?
I just put in, we got hammered yesterday during sentencing, so I put an order for like 15 more bracelets. I had to pull more bracelets up. So there's a lot more. As far as the juveniles, they're ranging between probably 15 to 20 bracelets for the juvies. We have we got 4 juveniles in placement, and they're still using the bracelets for a lot of them because there's still no beds. They get whatever they can get on the beds.
And how about, Norm, women's work release? Where are we?
We don't have anything yet. Nothing on our building either. Our building needs some serious work, so.
Okay.
We previously rented apartments. I don't know if that's an option out there somewhere.
Are we looking for apartments?
I think they are looking for apartments.
Or any kind of living
I
condition?
think they're looking for space somewhere, yes. They are. They're trying.
Okay. Okay. All right. You'll keep us posted on that,
Sure.
please. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. McConaughey? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you, Norm.
Have a good day.
Okay. Warden Betty, please.
Good afternoon, Board. The average daily population for July was 738 inmates, 556 were county inmates. We averaged 626 adult males, 4 juvenile males, and 108 adult females. The average daily population of U.S. Marshal detainees was 182. The overtime and out-of-county boarding reports are attached. Staffing update, currently our correctional officers' numbers break down to 165 full-time officers on shift, 9 out on workers' comp, 0 on continuous FMLA, 61 with intermittent FMLA, 1 on administrative leave, and 7 full-time vacancies for a total of 181 full-time officers. As of July 31st, revenue was at 64% and expenses were at 58%. Extraordinary occurrence reports, there were 5 in the month of July. On July 8th, deputy sheriffs committed an individual who was angry and combative and this individual was charged with aggravated assault on a deputy sheriff, and he was threatening to harm staff. She was threatening to harm staff in the booking area, and decision was made to place her in the emergency restraint chair for the safety of everyone involved. On 7/11, an inmate refused to return to her cell and began to physically threaten staff. She then shoved the staff member and grabbed onto the stair railing while officers attempted to place her back in her cell. A sergeant then deployed OC spray, and she was placed in the emergency restraint chair for the safety of all involved. On 7/17, an individual began to violently hit her head off her cell door. This individual was placed in the ERC to protect her from her efforts of self-harm. On 7/27, an individual was brought in by the deputy sheriffs and was already in their emergency restraint chair. This new commit continued to conduct himself in a concerning manner, and staff placed him in our emergency restraint chair during the exchange. On 7/31, an inmate threw an unknown liquid substance onto an officer. He then covered up his cell door's window, and he refused to comply with an attempt to transfer him to another cell. Staff then placed him in the ERC in order to safely move him from one cell to the other. PREA, there were 3 PREA investigations completed in the month of July. One was an allegation of staff on inmate sexual harassment. It was deemed unfounded. And 2 were allegations of staff on inmate sexual misconducts, and both of them were deemed unfounded. All completed investigations have been forwarded to the DA's office for further action if deemed appropriate. And finally, under personnel, there are several personnel-related issues to discuss in some detail if the board opts to go into executive session. And this concludes my report.
Tim, 7 full-time vacancies, or
Yes, sir.
are they all recent? I don't think we had that many last month.
They're rather recent, and part of that personnel part, if there's an executive session, is to discuss. We've had some tours and interviews of individuals, and I have several names of people
Okay.
to recommend.
Okay. Any other questions for the warden? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve his report
Motion. Second.
on the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you, Warden.
Thank you.
Anybody from the public wish to address the board? Joan?
Joan Hodawan at Scranton. First, I want to compliment Mr. DeBilio and the rest of the board for continuing to press forward on obtaining an independent audit. I think that gives the taxpayers and the residents of the county assurance that the tax dollars that are collected for the prison and the canteen funds that are generated by the inmates and maybe their families are properly managed. And I hope that once you get your first audit done, that becomes routine every year. And the second thing is I just wanted to compliment the warden on addressing staffing issues every month so that any shortages are not allowed to become cancerous, that they can be addressed as quickly and as efficiently as possible, since the prison is such a sensitive area and staffing shortages can cause all kinds of problems. So I think it's good that he's got full disclosure of that. I understand the executive sessions where you discuss actual hiring, but the fact that the public is allowed to become aware of how we stand on these issues, I think is very, very important. And would like to see that done for the county as a whole, where we have sensitive places like 9/11, 911, like OYCS, so that we're never surprised again. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. Anybody? Yes.
One last thing. I'm curious. The canteen checking accounts, do they bear interest?
Very little.
Hey, never leave money on the table.
And that's why we moved
I don't care if it's as little as
$875,000.
$1. monthly, that adds up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joan. Anybody else? Okay. Oh, here comes Bev. Okay, Bev.
Bev DeBarros from Scranton. Well, just in the elevator, the warden told me suggested, you remember at the last month's meeting, I was talking about the chapel, how beautiful it is, and like to have the community know about it. Well, he said, next month, since we meet in the jail, instead of in the muster room, we meet in the chapel, which is a great idea. It's very spacious and nice. But that will serve for the board members and the public to see and experience the chapel. But I still would like to work with Chris. We talked together, the camera person, about having a more fulsome presentation for the ECTV to put on air about the chapel, the physical chapel, and what goes on inside. So we'll be working on that. The other thing, Joan will like this, because I'm talking about taking money off the table. This is about the canteen fund, which is, like Gary said, for the welfare of the inmates. I had this idea, I want to give you this. I think you photograph that and send it around.
Thank you.
Because I'm talking about the food for the inmates. Okay, we know from Gary's reports in the past, right now we're spending $120 per month per inmate, which is a little less than, it just was increased to under $2 per day for the 3 meals. Gary, I think I have that right. I tried to get it right.
I believe so.
Yeah. So, and now, by this paper that I gave you, the people who are still hungry or still want more food can order every day from, I assume from Aramark, I think it's from Aramark, an extra serving. And the example that is this one day was chicken tenders, 4 cookies, pardon me?
And Crystal Light.
Potato chips. And, thank you, Joan. And, honey mustard, packet of honey mustard, and a packet of Crystal Light to be mixed with water, I guess. So for $14, that's, after they've gotten 3 meals a day for under $2. So just for comparison. Now, so I have a suggestion. I was thinking, in this time of harvest and how we have these delicious salads every day. So I was thinking if 3 days a week, salads could be provided for the inmate, vegetable or fruit, and from an outside source and brought in. So on that topic, I went to Mr. Ron Williams, who's the director of St. Francis Kitchens, because that's his business. And we had a very good meeting. And, by the way, I wanted to ask the prison board, the profits from this Aramark, from this extra meal, it's called Fresh Favorites. So who gets the profits from that? Would it be Aramark or the commissary account or the county treasury? Because there has to be a profit from that.
Reggie,
Goes into the commissary. And now, but is the commissary different than the canteen?
It's the same.
They're the same. So that goes into, I wonder what the income is from that. Well, the commissary profits, I think, are pretty hefty because we
We
see.
can look into that for you.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, that answers that question, and thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So also getting back to my meeting with Ron Williams and proposing this, Rob Williams, excuse me, as a brother, Ron. He listened to my idea, and he said he thinks that our community definitely has the resources to do this. He mentioned Meals on Wheels also has a huge kitchen that isn't used 24/7, and St. Francis Kitchen, of course, he named the hours in between where they could actually make the salads and, put them in a container. And as for the labor for that, he suggested the culinary students from Lackawanna College might be interested in a little side job there. So I thought for 4 weeks we could give this a go, and the money is there, and if it could be arranged, I think that would be a great use of the money, as, might be better than the fresh favorites on there. So, he said he thought it would be feasible to do this for 4 weeks, 3 salads a week. I asked him if he could give me an estimate of the cost. This is the last thing I'll say. He didn't get back to me on that yet. I just took an imaginary number of $6 per salad delivered. And if we did that times 3 times a week, that's 18 salads a week, times 4 weeks, that's a total of 72 salads. And we take that by, at the time, our population was 700, I multiplied that out and got $50,400 for the total program, if $6 was some kind of a possible price. So that's what I'm putting out for everybody's thoughts. And I think it's a good idea, and I think it's doable, and I would like to suggest that we implement that. So,
Okay, thank you, Bev.
thank you.
Eileen Acapinti, Dunmore. My question is, to obtain a contract with the prison, does the provider or the vendor, say healthcare, food services, whatever, need to have some kind of credentialing regarding corrections in prisons? I'm just wondering if that's limiting us as to whom could serve us in, like, say, healthcare, for instance. Do you have to have corrections as part of your title to get that contract? Like, I would like to just, my thought is keep things local. Like, if we could utilize the Right Center as we did through COVID, and then we could have that continuity of care when the people are released from prison, they could have that continuity of care with either their therapist, keep their medications going, that kind of thing. But I didn't know if that limited us, that they're not a corrections credentialed institution.
Okay, well, first of all, it's not a contract with the prison, it's a contract with the county.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't realize that, thank you.
And I believe during our last round of bids, one of the bidders was proposing to work in concert with the Right Center. I'm going back 3 years, so my memory isn't that clear on it. But certainly, and David, you could speak more specifically to this, but we put out a request for proposal. In the request for proposal, we put our requirements for what we're looking for in a bid. Do they have to have correctional care in their name? No, they don't have
Okay.
to have that. But certainly, we look at whatever experience they have and and we look at what they're proposing to do and what it's going to cost.
Right.
And that all figures into the ultimate decision as to where the contract is going to be awarded.
My thought was, are we being limited because of the corrections thing, but not necessarily, but if they have that credentialing, that may help them be chosen, so,
It certainly helps, yeah.
okay. And that would go with healthcare, food care, the phone service, all those? They need to sort of have a corrections element to them, or?
Not necessarily, no. No, I mean, ARA Mark, for instance, they do universities. They
Right, I know
do,
that, yeah.
So, you know,
That they don't need to have a special thing just because we're allowing them to come into the prison.
they might have to undergo security background
Right,
checks to make sure, yes.
There's conditions that go, both with the RFPs and with the contract that's ultimately entered that takes those things into account, security clearances, the ability to comply with our regulations and the legal things. I mean, generally what happens is we look at the needs of the facility when we put out the bids, and we say we need someone who can provide this, 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 and this. And as a responsible bidder, somebody can't come in and say, I cooked at a diner, I'm going to do the food service for the prison. They have to be a credible bidder who's got the capability of performing the job. And generally, based on that, the proposals we receive back are relatively limited to those that have some type of familiarity or experience in the field, as a practical matter. There's no formal credential.
I appreciate that. I was just, I'd like to see everything local if we can, and that's what I've had that question for a while, so I just figured I'd ask about the Wright Center. I have no affinity for that, but, okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else from the public? I see no hands. Okay. Warden, you said you had some personnel matters. All right, I'm going to ask everybody to step outside for a minute, please. We can go into executive session. Okay, we're back on the record. We just conducted an executive session on some personnel matters, some hirings, so the warden is going to, would you just list the corrections officers first?
Sure. I have 7 individuals who I'm recommending for hiring. Their names are, for full-time correctional officers. Their names are Kyle Mulrain, Megan Lanza, David Kaiser, Maria Flores, Drew Mitchell, Justin Yearing, and Edward Danko.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to hire those individuals as corrections officers.
Motion. Second.
Have a second on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Warden, you're confident with these people?
Yes, yeah, I've met with all of them. They've toured the facility, and they've been interviewed by interview teams that included the deputy wardens.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, their motion carries and they'll be hired. You have a part-time person?
Yes, I was also recommending for the position of part-time receptionist at the prison, Jacqueline Oporto.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second? A second? On the question? Likewise, you're confident?
Yes.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. And then you have a behavioral specialist?
Yes, I'm recommending Nicole Kobolansky for the vacant substance abuse mental health supervisor position.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Okay. And you're satisfied with this individual?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Okay. All right. On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. She will be hired. That it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other business from any of the members? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you. As the song goes, we'll see you in September.